Hey friend, this is episode number 543 of the And So podcast with Taylor Bradford. Let's get to it. Boss Girl Creative presents And So with Taylor Bradford, business and life musings from a successful serial entrepreneur. Each week, you will hear Taylor spill the tea on all things business, life, relationships, health, and everything in between. But don't worry, each week also includes a business nugget that will help you stay on course. And now a throwback to 3-year-old Taylor who inspired all of this.
And so.
You know that moment when you almost post it, but then delete it again? Or the one where you tweak your sales page for the 6th time and it still feels off? That's what the Clarity Shot is for. It's a voice memo response. You ask me your question, I reply within 24 hours with a clear, grounded next step. No overthinking, no spiral, just direction. Grab yours at bossgirlcreative.com/shot. Hello, beautiful friend. How are you? Welcome to episode 543 of the And So podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Bradford. Thank you so much for hitting play today. We will be diving in this week's business nugget, all about celebrating success solo and still making it count. Looking forward to getting into that a little bit into this episode. Let's first start with what has been going on in this last week. First of all, shame on me for sending out last week's email. If you aren't on my email newsletter list, you can be. Go to bossgirlcreative.com/email and I'll get you added to it. I wrote it and I thought I scheduled it, but I didn't. So there's always this week. So I will get back on track this week. And so sorry for you missing out on last week. But, life happens. Technology fails. I forget to hit schedule. So that's where we are with that. Oh my gosh. So I ended up meeting my drafter. So I didn't hire an architect to draw my building plans. I hired a drafter. I guess technically you could call them a designer too, but I think their real title or his real title is drafter. So I had him, actually I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I've got some window problems with my house. And I was trying to explain, and the problem with talking to somebody in your language that has their own language related to the topic you're talking about. So like I am speaking in layman's terms because I don't know a drafter's terminology, and he is speaking in his terms and is not. Anyways, I got on the phone with him. We spoke for an hour and I just kept saying, I think we're saying the same thing. We're just saying it differently. I was like, to clear up any confusion, is there any possibility that you could just meet me out there and we can, I can visually show you what I'm talking about? So we scheduled that for later in that day, and my builder happened to be out there. So that actually was kismet because it helped him understand the issues that I was seeing. And evidently I wasn't explaining it to him very well either. And I was like, but it makes perfect sense to me. But it wasn't making sense to either of them. So big changes. There were quite a few uh-ohs. And thankfully we are in the spot of our build that all of it can be fixed relatively easily, versus if I realized this later down and I already had the zip system installed before the metal siding goes on. So I'm grateful for that, but oh my goodness, that there are some changes. And so I'm looking forward to seeing those changes be made and things get fixed so we can keep moving forward. I did also update my windows with my window supplier, and I got that quote sent back. And now I just she put in her email to me, let me know if you want to go over anything so that we make sure everybody's on the same page. And I'm like, am I forgetting something? Oh my goodness. Okay. So I emailed her and I was like, can we chat on the phone before I say, I've reviewed, the measurements are all correct. Everything looks right, but now you're freaking me out. And this is a big purchase on my part and I don't want to get it wrong. So hopefully we can chat in the next day or two and I can get my windows ordered. The garden is still gardening. I haven't been out there since I think Thursday, which I don't know what my deal is other than I'm in this lackadaisical phase and I think I just need a break. I think I need a break. So I anticipated or I had planned on doing more in my fall garden, similar to match what I did last year for fall garden, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I've got broccoli plants in the ground. My garlic is in the ground, although that won't get harvested until next June. And I need to see when I'm supposed to start my onions, but I think that's basically all I'm going to do. I really wanted carrots. I might end up doing carrots. I really wanted them, but for the rest of the things that I thought I was going to add in to the fall, I'm just not. I think I'm just going to let it do its thing, pull out the things that stopped producing because now we're in cooler weather and come to a rest so that I can rest and then start all over in January. So that is the garden. All right, books. I finished The Da Vinci Code, which is Robert Langdon Book 2 by Dan Brown. So I think I mentioned previously in a recent episode that I noticed Dan Brown putting out another book in this series. And it had been a long time since I read book 1 and book 2. I never read anything past The Da Vinci Code. And I was like, I need to rectify that. So I went back to the beginning so that I understood Langdon's story. I read book 1 and book 2, and now I can move on to book 3. So fantastic writing. The Da Vinci Code, 5 stars. I also had a release happen last week by one of my favorite authors, G.K. Parks, book 27 in the Alexis Parker series called Damage Control, 5 stars. I immediately made that one go to the top of the list so I could read it. And then I just finished Definitely Maybe Not a Detective by Sarah Fox. This was an advanced reader copy through NetGalley. I gave it 3 star. It's cute, but for me, I need a really good mix of filler and chatter. And it didn't land for me. Although it seems to be getting good remarks as an advanced reader copy based on what I saw the reviews. But for me, I just needed it to be a little bit more quippy and with more conversation. I don't like it when it gets bogged down in just the filler. I can tell what's going on once the characters start speaking to each other again. So gave it 3 stars. All right, give you a course update. So I finally got to see the course asset number 1 in completion. I did fine tune a couple of things once I had it released to me. And now we are moving into course asset number 2, that creation process. The template's already created, the actual outline of what it's supposed to be, kind of like the design notes, but I need to actually put together what needs to go in there as far as the content. And then I still need to finish my module slides and film the course. Those are the next 2 big things on my plate besides getting the content for asset number 2 to the designer. So I'm getting closer, which is really exciting. As far as search bar confessions, which I'm moving into next, I didn't really Google much between last episode and today. So I have 2. One of them is Texas native plants. And because I was just curious, what is native to Texas? And so I put that in because I really want to add native plants around our pond. And I don't remember if I talked about this last week or not, but I know I've talked about it in a previous episode where I was really excited to work with Nativo, landscapers out of Fort Worth. And let me just tell you, super disappointed in that company. I've requested my money back that I paid for a site visit. And in my search of Texas native plants, I found a nursery that has the distinguishment from the state as a nursery that offers and sells Texas native plants. And they do landscape services. So I reached out, asked about their process, what they charge. And I think I'm going to move forward on sending them some money to book a site visit to talk about a design of the pond. And then I also asked, would you create the design and then allow me to install some of it? Like kind of what that looks like. And so I think that they for sure will design it and they will for sure release it to me and allow me to do it. But I kind of want to see a hybrid and see if that's a possibility, because some of the stuff I don't think I will be able to do. And some of it I think I will be able to do. So we'll see. And also, like, I want to know what it's going to cost. Like, if I say do it all, what is that going to cost versus me doing it and the savings that I might have with me doing the labor. So we shall see, but that's where I'm at. So I Googled Texas native plants. I also Googled a slow cooker potato soup. I thought it was okay. If you have like a go-to potato soup recipe, would you email that to me, Taylor@bossgirlcreative.com, or DM me a link at bossgirlcreative over on Instagram? I would so love that. I wasn't a huge fan of this one, but I would love to know a tried and true potato soup recipe. So if you have one, send it my way so that I can try it. So that is it for this week's Search Bar Confessions. All right, let's move into this week's business nugget. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, celebrating success solo and still making it count. Okay, so this one's going to feel a little tender, but it's been sitting with me and I think it's time we name it out loud. Because here's the thing, we don't talk enough about what it feels like to grow past the people around you. Not above them, not better than, just past. You work hard, you stay up late, you make hard calls, you sacrifice a lot of comfort for a version of freedom you're not even sure will pay off, but something in you says to keep going. And then one day it lands. It starts to work. And that moment, that win, that feeling of, oh my gosh, I am doing it. It's supposed to feel like a party, but instead it feels like silence or tension or just weird. Let me tell you what happened tonight. My husband walked into the room with a bank bag in his hand. And he said, look at this. Look how much we've saved. He was proud. We were proud. Because this wasn't an accident. This is years of being intentional, of choosing the long game, of being in alignment with our money and our values and our capacity. And then in the same breath, he said something that kind of gutted me. Too bad we can't tell anyone. And he isn't wrong. Because lately our wins haven't landed well. We share something we're excited about and it's met with jealousy, with snark, with those casual jabs that feel like must be nice or wish I had time for that. And maybe the worst part, sometimes it's the people who used to be in it with us. The ones who used to say we're in this together. Now it's you've changed or nothing at all. So lately it's just been me and him, me and my husband, sitting on the sofas in my warehouse, watching TV while I'm still working and he's still working, but we're enjoying company together. And we're quietly celebrating things that once would have filled a group chat. And here's what I've realized. We've outgrown the circle we were in. And that's not betrayal, but it is a shift. And it comes with grief, even when it's the right move. And I've experienced this already with friend groups, but now I feel like I'm at it again with something entirely different. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what it looks like to grow and feel lonely. to win and have no one to high five but your dog. To finally feel proud of yourself and have to second guess whether you should post it or text it or even say it out loud. Because somewhere along the way, we learned to shrink our joy, to make it palatable, to downplay it so no one feels uncomfortable. Do you find yourself, I'm wondering, do you find yourself when somebody says, "Hey, how are you?" Like you have to shrink yourself to maybe counter what you see them being with your own eyes. And so you downplay how you're actually feeling to potentially match where they are in their life. Why do we do that? I do that all the time. I get asked, "How are you doing?" And I completely downplay it. I completely just curl in on myself and I don't say, "I am doing really well. Thank you for asking. I'm having a heck yes day." Why do we do that? So, going back to let's not downplay it. I'm just going to say it. That's not celebration when you are downplaying it. That's self-abandonment. And we're not going to do that anymore. Taylor, you are not going to do that anymore. If this is you right now, if you've found yourself navigating this tension, here's your reminder. Your success still counts, even if no one else claps, even if the people you thought would celebrate flinch instead, even if the text thread goes quiet or somebody makes a weird comment that leaves you second-guessing your joy. It still counts, and you still get to be proud. Now, I'm not saying you stop being generous or kind or rooted in humility, but I am saying you don't have to shrink to stay connected. There's a difference between celebrating with people and shrinking for them. And honestly, that's the line I'm walking right now. Trying to hold both. Trying to love where I've been and honor where I'm going. Trying to be generous without giving away my peace. Because generosity is beautiful, but it's not the same thing as obligation. And friendship doesn't mean tolerating resentment. So yeah, it's just been us. Celebrating in quiet ways. Lighting a candle, marking the moment, and wondering where do we go from here? How do you find people who get it? Who don't flinch when you shine? Who don't hear your win as a loss for them? I don't have a step-by-step for that yet, but I'm starting to ask better questions. I'm starting to look for the rooms where success isn't threatening, it's inspiring. And if you're in this too, if you're grieving the group chat that went quiet and trying to figure out who your people are now, you're not alone. You're not too much. You're not wrong for feeling proud. You're not a bad friend for having boundaries. You're just between circles. And that's okay. So today, even if it's just you standing in your kitchen, holding a glass of sparkling water and whispering, "I did the thing," let that be enough. Let yourself feel it. Mark the moment, because the celebration doesn't need to be loud to be real. You did something hard. You stayed with it. You grew, and that counts every single time. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this week's episode. Just a reminder, sometimes clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from asking someone who's been there. The Clarity Shot is my voice memo reply service designed for the exact moment you feel stuck but don't want to spiral solo. I'll give you one honest, grounded next step. Send your question at bossgirlcreative.com/shot. I'll be in your ears soon. Until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your week.
And flow. Let's go. Let's go.
And like my 3-year-old self said, that is all for this week. Friendly reminder to rate and review my show wherever you are listening. And last but not least, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me an audio message at bossgirlcreative.com/speak. I would love to hear your takeaways, ideas for upcoming episode topics, and your feedback. Thank you again for listening to this week's episode, and until next time, I hope you have a great rest of this one.